Hello, everybody. Today, I want to share a story of my heritage. My grandparents live in Torrecitas in the mountains of Mexico near San Luis Potosí. My mother grew up there. I was born here in Houston, but we visited there when I was in second grade. I saw the struggle they endured in just surviving. I feel like I have a foot in both places. Here, we are in my grandma and grandparents' home with my uncles. It's me as a kid being held by my family. And here is the beauty of the land. In El Cerro, in the valley, with my humble beginnings, my mother and my grandparents' home. When I think of what I want to bring forward from my ancestors, from my Mexican culture, I wish I could bring back the language. It is the first language I learned, but I have lost much of it. I'm interested in learning more Spanish again. I will share a poem here by Irma Piñera, connecting to both my first language, to our ancestors, and to our connection to the whole earth. Una sola nube fue nuestra casa. Nosotros fuimos uno. Alegre fue nuestro canto. Uno solo fue nuestro corazón. El día en que tigres, piedras y árboles, nuestros padres nos dieron forma. A single cloud was our home, and we were one. Happy was our song. Only one was our heart. The day that tigers, stones, and trees, our parents, gave us form. I remember my uncle Don Chon. He loved ranchera music, Mexican Western music, and banda music, which is a kind of Mexican music with wind instruments, mostly brass and percussion. My mother and uncle listened to Juan Sebastián, who performs Mexican banda music. His music is both sentimental and macho. He has masculine energy, but he shows vulnerability. I like to listen to it, and here we are listening to a little bit of it, here to honor my family and the music they love. I learned to play the trumpet and played mariachi band in high school just for a little bit. Something like that. But I wish to continue learning this instrument because my youngest brother, he wants to learn this. And so I'm teaching him even today, just a little bit at a time, so I can remember and he can learn as well. But my grandparents, let's see, today it's just my brothers and my mother who live together here in Houston, which is very different from the way my grandparents and my mother lived before with so many other relatives in the house and around all the time. While living with just three in a calmer, more peaceful space, I miss the people that I grew up with. They feel so distant now. Now I have more memories rather than experiences. But my grandparents, my mother's parents, do come every year to visit from Mexico and spend time with us, staying for a whole month in either December or January. So it's either this month coming up or the next month during the new year. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see both my grandparents. Well, here they also celebrate the Day of Mary on December 12th. They bring necklaces, bracelets, and that are associated with the saints. These gifts represent their hopes for my growth, safety, and spiritual growth. And here is a festival for Mary in Mexico on December 12th. I actually took this photo, I remember as a kid. My mother is off to the corner holding baby Jesus, and we had confetti and just a party to celebrate the coming of Christ and to celebrate Mary and to really celebrate just the time being together. They celebrated here in Houston too. There's a ceremony and ritual at La Iglesia de Guadalupe on Navigation at midnight on this same day, December 12th. There's always confetti, piñatas, and fireworks. That celebrates the honors that the Virgin Mary and the coming of Christ. So this type of celebration is usually held in Mexico when they have the confetti, the fireworks, and the piñatas for the kids to enjoy and have fun. I have my feet in both places, and reflecting on my Mexican culture and heritage makes me feel more connected to my identity, more balanced, and more connected to my past. Thank you.
Connecting to the past and the future feels like push me, pull you. I find myself asking, What seems like it serves too few and should be changed? Or what feels like it served its purpose and no longer fits, needs replacing with a better thing? And the flip side, what have we thrown away without realizing what we might be missing? The Annie Dillard poem about the painting of a vegetable clown and how she remembered the painting more than meaningful parts of her trip to see the total eclipse hits me this way. There are so many unimportant distractions and things that we might call ugly that show up in our lives uninvited and take up parts of our attention. These, combined with the needs of daily living, leave little time and space for finding meaning, for finding the connections to people and ideas that will ground us and make our lives whole. And that's why intention and making time for finding meaning is called for. That's part of what we want to do today, is give you a bit of time for that. And it's a big part of what we do at church. When my children were born, I felt I wanted the winter holidays to be more grounded, rooted in something deep, more connected to my ancestors' stories and rituals, and yes, less commercial, less about material things. And I asked my parents and grandmother to tell me stories about their childhood Christmases to explore some possibilities. A few things came up. My maternal grandmother, who grew up in Round Top, Texas, born in 1907. Her parents ran the general store on the town square there, where she cut as a child bolts of cloth for the customers making dresses and scooped up pickles from the big pickle barrels for their snacks. And she's told a story that each year in December, the recently cut down evergreen was in a room that the children were forbidden to go to until Christmas Eve. And then when the doors flung open, she was stunned every year to see a tree with real candles afire. She said she grew up with Christmas being celebrated really on Christmas Eve and not on Christmas Day. And she said that came from her German heritage. And we did still celebrate with our family on Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day. And knowing that made me feel more tethered to those who came before me. Reflecting also helped me recognize how much I loved our 2 generations so far practice of singing dozens of Christmas carols in 4-part harmony. It was deeply, deeply satisfying, and it still is. It connected me to my childhood, and it was also a beautiful spiritual practice I could pass down to my children. And then you add in my mother's annual sugar cookie making, cutting and decorating that she invited all of the grandchildren to do, and that made it feel more connected to my ancestors. Our ancestors can continue to feed us if we take some time to dig and discern what we want to keep. They can feed us with their recipes, their stories, and if we're paying attention, we can see how connected we still are. The genetic material that makes up the cells of our bodies comes from our ancestors. We might get heirloom seeds that were saved and stored, songs that were sung around the campfire while camping, or stories that we tell to our children at bedtime can be passed down and help connect the new generation to those who have passed on. During the 60s and 70s and 80s, American culture seemed poised to only look forward. Looking at the past was something that needed to be changed, and it was no longer useful. The country's overriding message was one of progress. It could be argued that that might sort of be what the American message is always. The ads were for machines that could save us, make our work easier, that is, if we could afford them. Now it's technology that will save us, but the hopes for progress are tempered with understanding that many are not able to participate, that capitalism with its haves and have-nots has major moral problems, and that progress is limited by the Earth's capacity to provide and survive our overuse. But there are times when only looking forward leaves us bereft and empty and unrooted. We need roots and grounding in our lives. I want to pause for a moment and let you reflect on what meaning and ritual you have that is feeding you, and possibly a ritual that feels like it's missing from your life. What aspects of your ancestors' life do you want to research, explore, and bring forward annually or maybe even daily, like what you say before you have a meal? This may be beauty in the words of the anthem sung by our beloved choir this morning, for the beauty of the earth, for the love which from our birth. What do you long for? You may find beauty like the poet who's remembering her mother who brought flowers to the grieving. Her showing up when someone has lost a loved one, creating generations of love in the world. This is how we give forward, through living our lives and inspiring others to give. You are invited to explore where you might find more beauty and share it with the world or with a friend or someone you love. If you have children with you, feel free to have a chat with them, or a story or memory, a favorite holiday activity. The paper on the pews with the colors and the crayons may be something that you want to color with now while we're reflecting and put into a drawing instead of words. Take a couple of minutes now to remember, to get in touch with your longing and your ancestors' gifts. We are going to take a few minutes, but they don't need to be silent. It's just a few minutes to think and talk to someone next to you, and just so that we don't just move ahead. We want to take a time for you to reflect for yourself. And now we'll begin.